The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for today's presentation. No matter where you are in the world, I certainly appreciate you joining me here online. Today's presentation will be a very high-level overview of the foundations of the Scaled Agile framework. This is focusing on version 4.5. So without further ado, my name is Rich Weller. I thought I would toss up a slide here just to provide a high-level overview of myself, so you understand that I did more than just stay at Holiday Inn last night. I have spent roughly 30 years of my career in the project management world, developing and delivering project and program management as well as portfolio management solutions. I'm not about to read every bullet on this slide, but I did highlight some items here that you can see that will jump off at you. PMP certified since 2002, and probably the most important bullet point on this slide for today's presentation is I'm SPC certified. SPC standing for Safe Program Consultant, and SAFE stands for the Scaled Agile Framework. So with that, I've gathered a lot of information around Scaled Agile and here to share some of that with you today. Again, real quickly, I thought I should introduce the organization that I work for, the company that is called P Cubed, or Program Planning Professionals. We are actually the world's largest organization solely focused on project management. The organization has been around for over 20 years, as well as we have offices around the world. You can see there from the picture. Again, not about to read every bullet or every word on this slide, but please do realize that we are a bronze partner of the Scaled Agile organization. So let us move forward in today's presentation. 20 or 30 years ago, we thought we would be developing our products or our software or managing our projects like this. We've all seen the movies where we're sliding information around on the screen and doing things kind of in a virtual world. But actually in today's world, sometimes it feels more like we're stuck back in 20 or 30 years ago in an organization like this, where we're kind of crunching away in our own little siloed world. And as we are doing our retrospectives or our lessons learned from our projects, we're hearing and seeing comments that come back like this. There's too little visibility into the projects that we're working on, too much commitment up front or early on in the design stages that we commit to those designs and they really don't work. We're coming in late on our delivery, missing our delivery dates, coming in late, and problems, to be quite honest, are getting discovered too late in the process. And then probably the worst one on this slide is the poor morale. And I'm certain that everyone on this call or listening in today has been involved with the project, and you're sitting there nodding your head. Yep, I recognize those symptoms. I've been involved with projects that sound and feel just like that. And it's really a management challenge here, or management kind of has a challenge. And this is a good quote from Dr. Deming. He says, "It's not enough that management simply commits themselves to quality and productivity. Management, they must really know what it is that they must do." So they must know what it is that they must do. So with that said, the next question is, well, what is it that they must do? And we have some guidance here. So number one is they must embrace a lean, agile mindset. They must implement lean, agile practices, lead the implementation, and then get results. So as we move forward through today's presentation, I'm actually going to provide some details underneath each one of these items as to how management or how that can be achieved. So moving forward, let's look into this embrace a lean, agile mindset. And in order to do that, we look at two different things. The first thing that we will inspect or talk about is the house of lean. And this is a pretty cool concept here. The house of lean is actually, you'll notice it has a foundation, or it's built upon leadership of the organization. It has various pillars within the house: respect for people and culture, flow, innovation, relentless improvement. And then ultimately, the roof of the house is providing value. So this house of lean is a very good visual. It's very good foundational concepts, and in all of the safe, as well in all of the scaled agile framework, or safe leading, safe training, or implementing safe that I've done, these concepts always shine through, and they're very interesting. And again, it's really cool to see how through the training courses that SAFE has kind of put together, that they all dovetail or tie into this house of lean. On the right side, we talk about the Agile Manifesto, and this is developed. The Agile Manifesto developed back in 2001 by a group of software developers. It actually rolls up into these statements, which I think are they're pretty good. I mean, they're really good statements for, how we should be managing our projects or working within our project teams. And you'll notice on it, the highlighted words there on the left, it says individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Working software, and I kind of think of that as more like working products, or working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. Now these statements, it doesn't mean that that there is no value given to the items on the right, or those things shouldn't be done, or they're worthless. What it means is the items on the right are valued, but what is more important is the items that are on the left. And I think that's good fundamental concepts for working in a project management world. So the next thing I want to talk about here is some principles around SAFE. These are the SAFE, Lean, Agile principles, and there's quite a few of them. I'll kind of go through them really quickly and just touch on them. So number one is to take an economic view, and we'll go into a little bit of detail on that in just a moment. Apply systems thinking. Assume variability and preserve options. Build incrementally with fast integrated learning cycles. Again, we'll deep dive on this one just a little bit in just a little bit. Base milestones on objective evaluation of working systems. Visualize and limit WIP, which stands for work in process. Reduce the batch sizes and manage queue lengths. Apply cadence and synchronization with cross-domain planning. Unlock the intrinsic motivation of knowledge workers. And then the final one is decentralized decision making. So again, I know these are a lot of 9 different items here, 9 different principles. It's a lot to look at on one slide. We do not have the ability nor time today to go into all of these, to discuss the details behind all of these. But let's take a closer look at just a couple of them. And so what we'll look at now is we're kind of comparing here waterfall process or approach versus delivering incrementally. So in our waterfall world, or in our waterfall approach, we're showing that we develop all of our requirements and document those. We develop all of our designs and create documentation for that. Then we go through our implementation, and then we perform verification, and at the end of that, then we have a final and completed system. And so that's kind of a quick overview of a waterfall approach. Now you can actually get to that same end result using what we would call incremental delivery. And that is you start off with small minimum viable product, and you build just enough to get started and provide value. And then in the next increment, you add a little bit of additional requirements and build things more. And you continually add additional items until you ultimately get to the end with the same end result. And many times it may not be exactly the same as what was delivered in the waterfall approach, because maybe the customer actually got more of what they wanted. And here's why: because leveraging an incremental approach, here's another view of that. It allows for quick feedback in order, as we mentioned earlier, in people in interaction. And so we can see here we have incremental delivery, moving left to right across time, and as value is delivered, we work with our customer and all stakeholders involved to take their feedback and incorporate improvements into the next iteration. And what we're showing here is we're providing value early on in the life cycle, and we're continually providing value over time. Whereas in the waterfall approach, the customer is not really getting any value until the very end, and then there may be a gap between what was anticipated and what was actually delivered. So the next one is implementing lean agile practices. So here's some advice or guidance around that, and that's where SAFe really comes in. SAFe is a freely revealed knowledge base of integrated, proven patterns for enterprise lean agile development. This is a quote coming directly from Scaled Agile. A freely revealed knowledge base. We'll take a look at that and show you here in just a moment as we hop into their interactive online system why they say that. And then the next slide that we're looking at here is what's called Essential SAFe. Within the SAFe 4.5 version, we have the ability to kind of apply or look at different configurations of SAFe. And this Essential SAFe is the smallest level, or kind of like a starting point for many organizations. You'll notice that we have our team level at the bottom, and our overall and the program level is just above. And so what we say within SAFe is that nothing beats an agile team. And an agile team is a cross-functional, self-organizing entity that can define, build, and test. And what they say here is a thing of value. Notice that they don't. We aren't directly tying this to software development at this time, as SAFe can be applied to different types of projects, and definitely many of the principles from SAFe can be applied across an organization, regardless of what that company does. So these teams apply the concepts or the practice of plan, do, check, act on a reoccurring basis, and they deliver value every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks they're producing something. So this is done at the team level. And again, what we say is that nothing beats an agile team except a team of agile teams. And the next slide that we show here is what we're doing is we're showing how we integrate these various teams into the overall program. And at this program level, this is where we establish what's called an ART, or Agile Release Train, to kind of govern the overall program. This ART is 50 to 125 folks involved with the overall program. This is where we apply cadence, as well as synchronization. And I like the picture on the left. It kind of shows all of the teams at the team level performing their plan, do, check, adjust on a recurring basis, but it's the program level that also provides that at one level higher. I kind of think of this as like a older watch where you have the smaller gears. We also focus on running program increments. These program increments are depicted within the screenshot here, and they are anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks in duration. At the program level, that's where the vision and the roadmap, as well as architectural guidance, is established. And we also, at the program level, we bring people together when they're necessary. Again, we do that through the Agile release train. This picture is just kind of depicting what's quite often the different siloed organizations, and the Agile release train brings those representatives from each organization together as a collaborative team at the program level through the Agile release train, or ART. And we perform synchronization. We ensure that everyone's synchronized by what's called PI planning, or program increment planning. And that's where all of the stakeholders come together. Usually it's best to have that in a face-to-face in one large room. And management sets the vision and expectations of what's going to happen as far as on this program, as well as with respect to the next program increment. And this is where requirements and design emerge from this overall working session, and stakeholders are well informed and get to participate as well. But it's ultimately the teams who create the plans on how to get there, and by the teams creating those plans, they accept the responsibility for delivering what they promise. And then also within the scaled agile framework, the teams then come together and perform a demonstration of the full system every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, we're actually bringing things together, integrating the solution, and performing a demonstration of that working solution every 2 weeks to all stakeholders, so that everyone stays abreast of where things are, how things are developing, and has the opportunity to provide feedback. Also, at the end of the program increment, at the end of that 6 to 12 weeks, when we're performing, we also would need to perform what's called inspect and adapt. And that gives us the opportunity, as we discussed, after reviewing what has been completed within that program increment, we have the ability to provide recommendations on how to improve moving forward. And there's a defined a process for agreeing on the problem at hand, determining the root cause analysis, coming up with a Pareto chart on how best to fix that problem, and ultimately brainstorming solutions. And then what we do is we take those recommended solutions and we build that back into our backlog for user stories or requirements for us to work on within the next iteration. So this again, inspect and adapt, occurs at each program increment and allows us to relentlessly or continuously improve what we're working on. And so this is the next slide here is they're showing us how to scale up using the scaled agile framework. But rather than show you how this works or talk to this slide itself, I thought it would be best if I hopped over and actually clicked within the Scaled Agile Framework's website. So what we're looking at here, the Scaled Agile Framework is just that. It's scalable. And you'll notice that I have the Essential Safe selected, which is really the two different levels of the team and the program. From here, we can see our program increments. We can see our different iterations. And you'll remember that in the definition it was stated that this was freely available knowledge base. So the thing that I like about their website is it's not this is not just a picture. This is actually an interactive web page, or a knowledge base as they call it. For instance, maybe you wanted to know more about a Kanban board at the team level. You could simply click on that icon and it would take you to much more details about this item. And so again, I really like this website because of this capability or functionality. But again, we're looking at the essential SAFe, and the Scaled Agile framework does just that. It allows us, or enables us, the ability to scale up as we are perhaps having success, or wanting to implement Agile principles throughout a wider or broader range of the organization. For instance, there's the portfolio SAFe level. And this is one that resonates really well with me, where we have our team level, our program level, and our portfolio level. And then there's one called the large solution configuration. And in this case, now you have your large solution, program, and team. And if you think of the large solution, think of that as perhaps it's each solution is one product within an organization, or one application within an organization, which creates a number of different software applications. And then finally, there is the full SAFe. Within the full SAFe, this shows all of the different levels, where we now have portfolio level, large solution level, program level, and team level. And even in this large SAFe construct, we focus on cadence and synchronization, all the way from the top to the bottom and back up. So this has been a quick walkthrough of the Scaled Agile website. It's again freely available to anyone to leverage and learn from. So moving back to our presentation, the next section that we will talk about, or topic that we'll talk about, is leading the implementation of SAFe. So we'll come back to the House of Lean, and you'll recall that leadership was the very platform. It's the overall foundation for getting SAFe to work, or for change, for implementing change for that matter. And you'll see another quote here from Dr. Deming, who says, "People are already doing their best work. The problems are the system. Only management can change the system." And I can tell you, when I read this a couple years ago, I just shook my head, because I remember back working on an engagement, helping an organization a number of years ago. As I was walking up to the door that morning after being there for a couple months, I couldn't help but think, these people that work here, they're all very intelligent. They're great people. They're all striving hard to meet the objectives that were handed to them, to meet the objectives of the organization. And I recognized that it was actually problems in their system, not the people. It was the system, or the politics, or the processes within the organization that was really kind of causing them problems. And at the time, we implemented some changes to that organization that it did help them. But I can tell you, since learning some of the tools and techniques and tips that I've learned from the Agile, from SAFe and Scaled Agile, I have even more and additional tools in my toolbox now that to help people and organizations do better. So getting a bit long-winded here, but again, it's really up to the leadership at this point to help drive change. But SAFe actually puts out, they've created an implementation roadmap. And we'll take a look at just a moment here about how successful or how popular SAFE is, but they've learned a lot over the years of implementing SAFE throughout an organization, and they've put together this roadmap on how organizations can transform. So really, it starts off with this what they call the tipping point. So you as an organization, or you as a leader, you realize that it's time we need to do something different. And the way we've been doing things is just not working anymore, and we need to do things differently. We need to be able to deliver faster. We need to be able to deliver greater quality and keep people around, keep them happy, and keep them around. And this roadmap is I've actually seen it adjusted once since I've been with the organization, but I still think it's very solid. And so what they say here is step number one is to train the lean agile change agents, and then those change agents train the executives and leaders of the organization about SAFE. Once executive leadership is aware, then we identify these programs, or what we'll call agile release trains, and we come up with an implementation plan on how to implement SAFE for that program. We prepare for the agile release train launch. We train the teams and then launch the agile release train, or launch the ART. As we're in execution, we coach the ART during execution, and once we have success from that, building off the success from that and the lessons learned, then we launch even more agile release trains. Once we have multiple agile release trains running, that's when we extend up to the portfolio, connecting into our value streams, and again, ensuring that we are in cadence, synchronization, alignment, all the way from the overall enterprise level of the organization all the way down to the team level. And moving forward, it's just about, again, relentless improvement and sustainment. So this is a good map for how an organization can transform themselves and improve. So the next topic that we'll talk about is getting results, or how to get results, or maybe better yet, it's better said, is does implementing SAFE produce results? And actually it does in a number of different quadrants. So based upon statistics rolling up from previous implementations, people are 10 to 50% happier and more motivated. Time to market is now 30 to 75% faster. 25 to 75% reduction in defects, and 20 to 50% increase in productivity. Now, you may say, okay, where do all these numbers come from? This SAFE, scaled agile, fluffing these numbers up, making up these numbers? The answer to that is actually no. This information is getting rolled up from these case studies, from where organizations have implemented SAFE, or these organizations actually have produced these case studies themselves. They have actually documented and recorded these metrics themselves, and SAFE just has compiled the information and rolled it up. So you'll see a link there on the bottom if you want to go take a look at any of these actual case studies from the organization. You can look at the details and again see, and perhaps find an organization similar to your own and see what benefits that organization has realized by implementing the Scaled Agile framework. So how do you get more knowledge? I kind of already demonstrated the capability of the Scaled Agile website. There's lots of articles, presentations, videos, and again, the case studies are out there. Please realize that there are different levels of certifications that can be acquired with respect to SAFE. As mentioned in the first intro, I'm an SPC, which stands for Safe Program Consultant. With that level of certification, I'm able to officially deliver training to your organization. I also, based upon experience that I've learned from not only taking more advanced training, but also implementing some of these concepts, I know tips and tricks on how to actually implement SAFe from a real world perspective. The next to the last slide that we have here is talks about the success and the popularity that SAFe has seen since inception. You can see there are 130,000 different SAFe certified professionals around the world, 130 different partners, as which P-Cubed is one of them. Website traffic, that's pretty interesting, but the one I kind of like the best is this survey that was delivered by version 1 says that 28% of those folks surveyed felt that cite SAFe as the preferred method for scaling Agile across the organization. So that's close to a third of the people that have experience with Agile recognize SAFe. So the last slide that I'll come to here as I'm winding things down, I promised you that you would have an opportunity to reach out to me or to ask me any questions. Please take a moment here and jot down my connection information. Reach out to me through LinkedIn. I'd sure appreciate that. And ask me any questions that you might have about this presentation. And if you'd like to hear how P-Cubed and or myself can working through P-Cubed can help you implement or scale Agile throughout your organization in order to help you deliver faster with greater quality, please don't hesitate to contact me. Again, I thank you for your time.